What's in the box?
Well, viewers, October has finally arrived, and along with it comes a legion of horror movie marathons to get you ready for the arrival of All Hallows Eve. So in that proud tradition, Awfully Good Movies is proud to present the October Monster Mash, where every week I'll be reviewing a movie that puts a new spin on the classic trio of Universal's movie monsters, namely Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman. And for my first installment, it is my pleasure to present the long-awaited grudge match between two titans of terror, Dracula versus Frankenstein. Yes, ever since 1931, when Lugosi and Karloff popularized the horror genre with their iconic portrayals of literature's most gruesome twosome, movie fans have been waiting to see the suave bloodsucker and the modern Prometheus go mano a mano, without having to compete for screen time with Abbott and Costello. But when we finally saw a true Dracula vs. Frankenstein movie hit theaters in 1971, Lugosi and Karloff were dead instead of just undead, and Universal Studios had long stopped giving a fuck about monster movies. So it was up to director Al Adamson, best known for such horror classics as Satan's Sadists and Hell's Bloody Devils. And playing the famed monsters were two random guys no one ever heard of. And in the supporting cast were two iconic favorites from the old Universal monster movies, J. Carroll Naish from House of Frankenstein, and Lon the Wolfman Chaney Jr., who are now really old and drunk and would both die soon after making this movie. Okay, fine, I'm not gonna pussyfoot around here. Dracula vs. Frankenstein proves to be a more disappointing horror team-up than either of the Alien vs. Predators, and in this case, the tagline should read, "Whoever wins, everyone loses." Part of this movie's utter failure can be blamed on the fact that it was never meant to be a Dracula-Frankenstein movie. It was first filmed as a sequel to Adamson's biker flick Satan's Sadists, but later given a monster subplot that was filmed afterwards for no discernible reason. And boy, does this complete switch in the plot ever show in the finished movie. The movie opens with the Count raiding the tomb of Frankenstein's monster. Then we cut to an axe murderer chopping off a girl's head. Then we cut to a Vegas showgirl's musical number. So, if you haven't gotten whiplash from the switches of tone in those first 8 minutes, then buckle the fuck up, cause here we go. This showgirl's name is Judith Fontaine, who is looking for her missing sister Joni with the help of the Missing Persons Bureau. Well done, spell check. What we know, and she doesn't, is that Joni's decapitated corpse has been recapitated and is being held by Dr. Duray, a mad scientist played by J. Carroll Naish, who now runs a seaside freak show with his mute assistant Groton, played by the wrinkled bag of alcohol and sadness that used to be known as Lon Chaney Jr. These two like to chop up young women only to try and bring them back from the dead with a special serum, with Duray injecting Groton with needles full of crazy juice and unleashing him with an axe on the ladies under the boardwalk. So as Judith now teams up with a gang of concerned hippies to find her sister, Count Dracula pays a visit to Duray, whom Dracula knows is a descendant of the original Dr. Frankenstein. Together they revive Frankenstein's monster, despite having to use a moldy bathroom carpet as his face, and have it kill those who did the doctor wrong, while also working on a potion that will render Dracula indestructible.
All those who would meddle in the destinies of Frankenstein and Dracula will see an infernal bloodbath the likes of which has not swept the earth before.
But don't worry, you'll keep forgetting about that plot, since most of the movie is just about this blonde girl trying to find her sister and running into a gang of rapist bikers and falling in love with the leader of the hippies in a montage straight out of a Time Life CD commercial. As much as J. Carroll Naish and Lon Chaney try to add some gravitas from the old days of Universal monsters, they keep getting dragged down by production values straight out of a 70s porno, more screen time with characters you don't give two shits about than with the ones that you do, and one totally inexplicable drug freakout sequence that I'm sure Mary Shelley cut out of the original Frankenstein novel. But it's definitely an interesting mess to see how Adamson tries to fit the Dracula-Frankenstein plotline into this unrelated piece of sleazy Z-grade schlock, with some hilariously cheap details to spot along the way. But it sure isn't the epic fright fest that a name like Dracula vs. Frankenstein suggests, and deserves. And unless you've got a gang of buddies to riff on this flick with you, then you're better off conducting your own Dracula vs. Frankenstein fight night at home. Blah! Blah! Well, actually, I take that back. That's actually really sad. Now, if you don't have any blood to drink in your house, just replace it with the second most frequent substance in people's bloodstreams: booze. It's time to play the awfully good drinking game! Take a shot or drink every time another pair of smooching teenagers gets sliced up. You hear the doctor's dentures clicking together on the soundtrack.
The exact components necessary to complete my serum. I no longer remain in this wheelchair. I'm chained to it.
Fix a dent, motherfucker! Do you use it? You hear another use of outdated hippie slang.
That's my bag. I make observations for later replay.
The real bummer.
Mike, the leader of the hippies, stumbles over another line.
At least that's the name he uses. There's enough information to force Duray to tell us about Joni.
Dracula breaks out his Captain Planet ring of death. And take a double shot when Dracula and Frankenstein actually fucking fight each other 80 minutes into the movie. Yeah, it's pretty disappointing, but it's kind of worth it to see Frankenstein get treated like the Black Knight from Monty Python.
You've got no arms left. Just a flesh wound. Come on, ya.
And on the Nudie Watch, I am proud to report that 10 episodes into this show, Awfully Good Movies has had its first boob sighting. You can't see it, but trust me, it's there. On the enjoyableness continuum scale from Bull to Bruce, Dracula vs. Frankenstein ends up sucking at everything else except the blood from your neck and gets a 3 out of 10. Arrgh! Movie bad! Arrgh! I'm Jesse Shade for JoBlo.com, and stay tuned next week when the Monster Mash moves on from a movie starring the original Wolfman to the latest cinematic take on the Wolfman. Until then, stay spooky, my friends. Ha ha ha!
Joe Blow, he sure likes to drink a lot. Joe Blow watches movies like the hero man. Joe Blow eats nachos like the summer high.
Hey everyone, Jesse Shade here from Awfully Good Movies. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me take on more good bad movies, click on any of the links you see here, or subscribe to see this show alongside all the great content that we offer here at JoBlo.com. And remember, I love you. Wait, that sounded wrong. But I do love you though.